Hello everybody. Okay, this video is just a super quick overview of the citation style. I won't go into all the particulars of it, but show you where the resources are and a sort of general idea of what you can expect. For this class, we are not using the MLA format. I know most people are probably used to that. There are lots of other citation styles out there. One of them is the Chicago style, or the Turbayan style, or what's also sometimes called the Chicago Turbayan style of formatting. They're very similar. Sometimes they get mushed together. We're going to be looking at the Chicago Turbayan style of citation. What this is your in-text citations will be footnotes. Then at the end of the paper, you'll have a works cited page. And in the works cited page, your sources will be listed in alphabetical order. Let me show you some of that stuff as I move the camera around. Okie dokie. So here is the Moodle page. There, I think it's focused now. Moodle page, contact information, scroll down, you got your syllabus. Study guides. Study guides is where the citation guidelines are. You'll see there's a Chicago Turbayan citation style PDF, a website that you can click on to go to. And an example of formatting and the Chicago Turbayan style on a paper. If you go here, here's the website. It's just got some information on the style, how to use it, your basic sort of outline as to, if you're, it's an easy one, a book with one author, book with two authors, an electronic book, you have a journal article, an online article, a magazine article, if you're citing a website, a blog entry, etc. Also on here is the PDF, which will look like this. It gives you some background on it, what to do. Like I said, we'll be using footnotes. Tells you a little bit about how to format some things. Here's another example here of how to cite that stuff. And then when you get to the end of the paper, you'll be looking at your works cited page. It'll be in alphabetical order, and the citation style is actually slightly different. So keep that in mind from what it is in the footnotes. Now, one thing to keep in mind with footnotes, the first footnote has to be the complete footnote. So it has to be the name, article, the publication, page number, year, or no, that's probably an issue number or a volume. This would be the year and the date that the citation, the information is found on. However, the second time you cite something, you only need to put the author's last name and the title, or sorry, the page number. Author's last name and title. Author's last name and page number. If there's two authors, or if there's one author and you're citing two different books, you'll want to put the author and then the book that it's coming from, so that the reader knows what book you're citing from. There's one more bit here, is Latin abbreviations. If you're citing the same source multiple times, so back to back to back, you cite it the first time the way you would normally cite it. If it's the first citation, you would give it the whole long list of information. If it's the second citation, you'd abbreviate it like this. But if the citation that immediately comes after this one here is the same, you would use this. You would put ib. It's Latin for the same, and you put the page number. So if you're citing here Eliza Wilkins' book, page number 12, and then the next in-text citation is page number 13, you put ib, page number 13. Okay. That's what that looks like for the instruction guides. Let's look at what it looks like in a paper. Here's that paper again. I've shown it in how to format. This is what an in-text citation will look like in the paper. So here's the first in-text citation. You see it's got the one superscript. Superscript, it's above the period here. It's above sort of the rest of the line, takes up the top half of the line. Your citations are always going to be after punctuation. So there's 1 and there's 2. And if you look down here, 1 and 2. And these are the sources that those correspond to. See if we got some ibs up in here. Okay, here we go. Citation number 4 came from this website, or this this journal article. And then the second citation, citation number 5, actually comes from the same source. So it's ib, and then the page number is 446. So it's the same source here. We're just putting ib there to shorten it. Okay. One of the things I really like about this citation guideline, the citation guide, is you can use the footnotes to put in asides. So real quick here, you'll see that same source for number 4 right here. It's listed again, and here is how it's shortened. And then I cited another piece of information from that same source, actually from the same page. So I put ib in the page number. Now if you look at number 9, I put a note here, and it says, by selectively choosing information, I mean that a program could choose what to teach children, or could not decide to discuss condoms, birth control, or abortion, but if it did, the information had to be accurate. Where's number 9? Okay, 9's up here. And whatever it was that I said in this paragraph here, I felt like it needed a little further explanation. And so, but the explanation didn't fit very well into the body of the paper. So I added that explanation down in this spot here. It's also good, like I said, to put little asides or interesting stories related to your research. To talk about objections that may come up. At one point in the paper I say that children should be allowed to find their own way, but I make the comment in a citation here, or a footnote, that says there's obvious critiques, and I do express that there are some limits on this. For example, 5-year-olds should not be allowed to jump into fires. They should be allowed to express themselves and explore their world, but we do make allowances for some protections. It's just a side note I put there. And then when you get down to the end, I put bibliography here because there were some things I included in this that were not cited in the paper. For this class, you'll just be using Works Cited page, so this will say Works Cited. And this is the way your Works Cited page will look like. Alphabetical order, single spaced, with the second, third, fourth, whatever line after the first indented, a tab, and it'll look like that. Okay, now let's look at one more thing. Okay, so here's how you would cite something in a paper. This is a paragraph that I just wrote. Many parts of the Affordable Care Act are popular when pulled without mention of the attachment to the law itself. Among the most popular positions are that insurance companies can no longer deny you service based upon any pre-existing condition or treat you differently because of a pre-existing condition, that children and young adults can stay on their parents' plans until after they turn 26, and that your out-of-pocket healthcare expenses will be limited in a given year, while there will no longer be an annual or lifetime caps on what insurance companies will pay for your health care. These are things that are in the healthcare law. Presumably, I got this information not from my own head, but from some resource. And presumably, it's probably some sort of poll. Just let me fix one thing here. I'm going to change it to New Times Roman like it should be. So, at the end right here, there needs to be a citation citing the poll. So what I'm going to do is up here on your Word document, you'll see References. Click on References, and you'll see Insert Footnote, this big button right here. Insert Footnote, you have highlighted right there. You selected where you want to insert footnote. It puts in that superscript footnote, and if you look down at the bottom, you have it there, and it's ready to be entered in. So let's say I got this from a Gallup poll. Obviously, the footnote would look differently than this, but for simplicity's sake, that's what it looks like there. This next sentence. These new benefits and regulations will save millions of Americans hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime and prevent millions more from having to declare bankruptcy because of medical expenses. Again, this is not something that I pulled out of my butt. This is a piece of information that came from somewhere else. So I'm going to put my cursor there right after the period, which is where the footnote would go. I'm going to go back up here, click on Insert Footnote. Clicked on that. You'll notice here it now says 2 because that's the second footnote. And if you go down here, there's a number 2 footnote, and it comes from the New York Times, let's say, making things up. New York Times, and I'd put the URL, the date published, author, things like that if it's the first time I've cited it. And that's basically how to do the Chicago Tribune style. Key things, you're using footnotes. Footnotes don't only have to be citations. They can also be used to put asides in your paper, interesting pieces of information that don't necessarily fit into the flow of your paper. Like I said, you're using footnotes, and you accomplish that by clicking on this up here under References. See Home, Insert, Page Layout, References. It's good to click this because if, say, you come back and you realize you needed a footnote to be right there, that's in between, well, let's say right here, in between footnote 1 and footnote 2. If you click on Insert Footnote, you'll see it changes this to 2 and changes the 2 we had before to 3. And if you look down here, it automatically updates it. Also, if you add in information, let's say page 3 or footnote 3 goes on to the next page, the footnote will follow what page it's on. So if we add in a bunch of stuff right here, and it takes you down to a second page, that third footnote will go down to the third page or to the next page. If you try and insert things manually by putting a 3 and then making a superscript and using a footer for stuff, it's not going to be formatted right, it's not going to come out right, and your footnotes won't follow properly. So I think that's it for a brief 15-minute tutorial on how to, on sort of where to look for the resources for footnotes, for how to put footnotes and do the in-text citations in the Word document itself. I hope this was informative. Again, questions, you can look on the instruction sheets on Moodle, go to the Writing Center, or you can email or call me and I can help you through this. Hopefully we'll go over this in class also real quick. But again, this YouTube video gives you one extra piece of or one extra tool that you can use. So I hope this is helpful, and have a good paper writing.